I'm taking this woman to hang. Rewards $10,000. That money's mine, boys.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was part of the trailer for the new Quentin Tarantino film, The Hateful Eight. Looks delightful. One of the film stars, Kurt Russell, made headlines after defending the Second Amendment. During an interview with the Daily Mail, Russell was asked about what he thought about gun reform and several recent high-profile shootings. He is quoted as saying, "Now is not a good time to lay down your weapons. How will you protect yourself?" He also said, "I am a libertarian, a hardcore one, and of course I have guns. I shoot things with them. I hunt game." Joining me now with reaction is radio talk show host Leslie Marshall, Fox News contributor Katie Pavlik, and senior editor of In Touch Weekly, Kim Seraphin. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Kim, let me start with you. As someone who's not followed Kurt Russell's social political views very closely, is this surprising that he would have this opinion?
No, I mean, he is a libertarian, as he mentioned that he is. But he is someone also, he just recently also did an interview where he said he gets asked to do TV interviews and other interviews about his politics all the time. And he said it's not something that he really runs out to do, that he obviously has opinions. He's an American. But when he gets asked about it, he wants to, I think he said, I don't want to pop off about stuff that I know nothing about. I like finding out about stuff, and then I find out about stuff, and then I'm knowledgeable about it. And I think that's great when you see a celebrity who wants to actually find out about things and then talk about it. Whether either side of the aisle that you're on.
A well-informed celebrity.
A well-informed celebrity is good, no matter if you're on the right or the left. It's great because it gets other people talking about the issue.
Now, will anyone else in Hollywood care because he has views, presumably, that most of Hollywood hates on the gun issue?
I don't think everyone in Hollywood thinks alike. I think, Brad Pitt actually about a year ago made some comments about owning guns since he was a kid.
Okay, so that makes two of them.
So Brad Pitt, his career certainly has not suffered since making those comments. So look, I think obviously we're getting to an election year where you're going to hear a lot of celebrities chime in about the election and who they support. And there are certainly people in Hollywood supporting Republicans, supporting Democrats. So, get ready for people to maybe who don't watch Fox News all the time, who don't read the Washington Post, who don't read the New York Times, to get educated in some of these issues when celebrities talk about them.
So, Katie, one thing I like about the statement from Kurt Russell, he really gets at the crux of the issue, which is the Second Amendment isn't there just to hunt game, although he does that himself. It's there for self-defense. It's an individual right that's fundamental to us as persons.
Well, and let's put this in the context of why he was asked this question. He was specifically asked the question surrounding the San Bernardino terrorist attack that we saw, of course, in San Bernardino. And you have the Obama administration and the left now harping on this idea that at this point in time, we need new gun control. I mean, the idea that, that we need more gun control in an age of terrorism and when we need more self-defense than ever is really absurd and asinine. So I think it's important to point out the context of that, and that's why he's commenting on it on this this time. He's not just talking about it because he was asked a question about the Second Amendment. He was specifically asked about the events surrounding San Bernardino, and that's why we're having this conversation.
So, Leslie, in the gun control debate, in the context of mass shootings, what is a gun control measure, any gun control measure, that would actually help prevent these kind of shootings?
Well, I'm one of the people, Rich, that said that because it's a multifaceted problem, we need a multifaceted solution. And having universal background checks, even though the majority of Americans support that, as do I, that is not going to, as you say, prevent the next attack. But I think prevention is key. And that's what I believe that gun control advocates and others like myself on the left are looking for, whether it is to reduce the magazine clip capability, whether it is to reduce the ability for somebody like we saw in San Bernardino to access weapons like AK-47s. Nobody is trying to keep Kurt Russell or anyone else's or take away anyone's Second Amendment rights or to take away their weapons.
Leslie, that's just not true.
We have over
the New York Times, hold on,
Rich, we have over 30 minutes.
The New York Times ran a front page editorial, made a big splashy play where they advocated banning so-called assault weapons and a de facto confiscation. They do want to take people's guns from them.
Well, and
the
let's
New
talk
York
about what the
Times isn't
president has
legislating anything, Rich. The New
Leslie,
York
go ahead.
Times is not legislating anything. There are over 30 million gun owners in the state of California. We have more gun owners in the United States than we have had in our history, and we have more mass shootings and terrorist attacks than we've had in our history as of late. So to say that everybody should be armed and we're protecting ourselves, that's not preventing these problems, these mass shootings or terrorist attacks either. And the New York Times doesn't speak for every liberal.
Let me get Katie
the New
in
York
real
Times is not
quickly. Let me get Katie
legislating.
in really
What would
quickly, 30
prevent the
seconds.
problem?
Katie, go
What
ahead.
would prevent the problem would be not allowing people who are openly anti-American into the country, but that's a whole other issue. And let's not forget that California has some of the strictest gun control laws on the books. And when it comes to regulating
And
American
an assault
rights on the
weapons
Second
ban.
Amendment, the president is proposing that that everyone who's on the no-fly list, right, shouldn't have access to a firearm. But he doesn't mention that 40% of those names are people who have nothing to do with terrorism whatsoever. And so we are talking about taking rights away from everyday law-abiding Americans without due process, and they're doing it under the guise of public safety and gun safety, and it's a lie.
All right, guys, thanks so much for the discussion.